My name is Rudy Razo Chavez, and I'm a writer. I was born in Central California, Fresno. I grew up there, migrant farm worker family, long story. And then I lived in Los Angeles, Southern California for many, many years, and here I am. My name is Rudy Razo Chavez. Yo soy Rudy Razo Chavez. I'm a writer, and among my writing, people ask me what I write, and I tell them mixed genre, and they say, what is mixed genre? And I say, it's like mixed martial arts. So I write a lot of poetry, narrative poetry, and I also write prose, and also I write theater. I've been writing for a long time, and I want to start, initiate my session here with a poem that is titled Soldiers of the San Joaquin, and this poem is an autobiographical narrative poem, and it tells a lot about my background, where I come from, and so forth. And then I'll answer, perhaps explain a little bit more and answer any questions. Perhaps I think the writing will answer a lot of the questions that you may have. Mexican Americans, Chicanos, I need to preface this, have been the backbone of the harvests, the Piscas, in the history of California agriculture, bar none. Yet this history is non-existent in the narratives, in the stories of our people, of the Chicanos in California and in the US. In John Steinbeck's famous novel, The Grapes of Wrath, Chicanos are invisible. Yet we were there. We were the elephant in the room. And to some degree, we still are the elephant in the room, then and today too. We worked in the fields, and we were Chicanos. Our fathers said we were, no debate about the definition of the word. We were Chicanos, and I was raised as a Chicano. This poem is, that I'm going to read, narrative poem again, is titled Soldiers of the San Joaquin, of the San Joaquin Valley. Ferried along in mother's womb, I was born, we were born, soldiers of the San Joaquin. In horn of plenty, in horn of good, in the promised land of California agribusiness, where the Boswells reigned supreme, in the almighty San Joaquin, we were Chicanos shorn, where the paths of wrath trod upon us, and then again, we were trod upon, not only forward, but also trod upon in reverse. Beneath John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, beneath crabgrass and Johnson weed, beneath clods on clods and hardpan, we were unseen okey-dokes in that hearth, our rites of birth. Across the lands, tumbleweeds, nomad bands, salt of the earth. Welcome to the USA. Welcome to the USA. Stop and go, up and down, to and fro, in a geographic tic-tac-toe, indivisible yet invisible, family of 7 sisters, 7 brothers, and me, with our parents, Ama and Apa, grains of sands, sifted and resifted and shifted by rain, by sun. We were weathered, we were leathered to a high degree of those who lived this life. Not one will disagree. As we crisscrossed it, earth crisscrossed us. It laid its claim, tattooing its tracks across our backs, chests, shoulders, arms, toasted and sunburnt in down, 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 outside in, inside out, burnishing brown on brown, desert legs, knees, ankles, feet, toes, hands, fingers, heads and faces, eyes, ears, noses, temples, cheeks. In the up end, we left traces, entire bodies disembodied in hamlet, village towns, in the migrant chain. Just to mention a few places: Bakersfield, Delano, Colinga, Corcoran, Hanford, Fresno, Madera, Chowchilla, Merced, Sacramento, Napa, San Jose, Hollister, Salinas, ad infinitum, without end, sin fin. In our migration, among the orchard trees, in the entwined vineyard vines, countless cotton fields, upon the mosaics and designs of lines made by rows and rows of furrowed fields, where the water flowed free and crystal clear through rivers and canals, spiraling down from man-made dams, giving high-end yields in these pioneered lands. This utopia engineered cornucopia in air and dirt and soil, where we did freeze or boil. All growth, all elements took us as a toll. We were mechanized, converted into tools in this dystopia, where bones got chewed up, not only muscle, but also souls of our Salvation Army, shoes and boots, pants, shirts, caps, hats, even the fruit of the loom we wore, all rented. We got rendered into jerky shreds, disassociated us from us, our minds, our hearts, chopped up hopes, boxed up dreams, half drowned or dried up breath, pitted words and phrases, even exclamations, and tears and fears. In the midst of this, we drooped our heads, we slumped, we slumbered. And yet, yes, yet, on and on we lumbered, hunched, bunched, slumped, picking crops. Then to the ramshackle hut or tent or lean-to, our home, in the grays of early evening into late evening dark, in dancing shadows thrown about by a flickering kerosene lamp light, we sat on fruit boxes, bit and chewed what was on the aluminum plate, and in the depths of night we curled up like cats and dogs, snug, tight, on green army blankets and cotton sacks, on the dirt or wood plank floor. And fast we fell asleep, into deep, deep sleep we fell, shuffling feet, dragging heels, over shale and rock in summer dust, dust devils gone amok, or in sloshing mud, boots deep in winter wet, or a top frost that nipped, biting at noses, ears, fingers, and toes. Meanwhile, we counted sheep, white sheep, on and on and on, and then again dragging bodies and souls of ghouls. Ferried along in mother's womb I was born, we were born, soldiers of the San Joaquin. Gracias. Thank you. My name is Rudy Razo Chavez, and originally from Fresno, California, from a migrant farm worker family of 15. And now I live in Los Angeles for 4 decades. I also have been a teacher. I'm a teacher still. And I am a writer of cross-genre work, including a lot of poetry, narrative poetry, and also I write theater monologues, and I write prose stories and essays. I have a couple selections that I'm going to read today, and the first one relates to my life. And I was in the Marines during the war in Vietnam, and as many Chicanos also, have been, and soldiers, outstanding soldiers in the U.S. Military. And there's a lot of ironies involved in this. And this work is titled Soldado Raso, which is a Soldado Raso American Me. And I will read now to you. I was one of the proud and the few, yet at the same time, I was one of the many. Chicano, 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 Mexican, Hispanic, American, United States Marines. When I turned 18, I got databased, priority numbered, listed 2, 1, 9, 6, 8, 4, 4, stamped on the head at the top of the line of the crop of the Corps. I was ordered to stand at a ton hut because with no high school retention, I'd spent so much time in detention. I got pushed out from an education when I turned 16 on May 10th, my birthday, which is Mexican Mother's Day too. I was one of the proud and the few, yet at the same time, I was one of the many. Chicano, Chicano, Mexican, Hispanic, American, United States Marines. In the harvest of bodies, in the harvest of booties, the brown and the Indian and the black and the white, all of the poor, we all got inducted. We all got sent to war. But no, they said, in Vietnam, it's not really a war. It's a police action. More like a reaction. There was no other choice, no other window, no other door. In fact, I had no voice. And Uncle Sam took me ASAP, as soon as possible. I was a GI, government issue, but I knew and I know I was not a Joe. You see, I was Jose. And about this, today, I got lots more to say, such as, chinga tu madre, pinche güey. I won't translate that if you don't know. Look it up. Google it. At night, at the San Diego airport, we got prodded, stuffed into a vomit-colored green bus. We got stuck 3 to a seat, made for 2. Upright, neat, meat. And we sat at a ton hut, stiff, in submission and fear, without a blink, a wink, or a twitch for any itch. We was immobilized. At MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, I was lined up, the DI's face in my personal space, screaming and spitting an infinity of obscenities. And we got scolded, and then we got balded. My curly hair, scalped. What a mess. Gone in 10 seconds or less. And for any possible harm, we got shot in both arms. And we got uniformed and booted and shined up. And we slept half at attention till we got waked up, showered and shaved. over the coals raked. Maggots, 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 maggots. Marching in formation, more in deformation, till death do us part. You see, I was one of the proud and the few. Yet at the same time, I was one of the many, many, many Chicano, Mexican, Hispanic, Spanish-speaking Marines, American me, Soldado Raso, private, from the balls of Moctezuma to the shores of Tripoli, first to fight and first to die. United States Marines, on land, on air or sea. My country 'tis of thee, my country 'tis of thee. And you know the rest of the song. That's a poem dedicated to all of us, United States Marines and other soldiers as well. Thank you. I'm going to read a sort of connected piece of writing that I did. This is a theater monologue. And this is titled Foxhole Aztlan. Foxhole, A-Z-T-L-E-N, Foxhole Aztlan. And give you a little bit of background. The time of this monologue is 1968 or 1969, Thanksgiving. During the so-called TET offensive, and a groups of Marines are in a foxhole in any place. Vietnam, could be any war. They are in a world of shit, about to be run over by a mass of North Vietnamese regulars, maybe Chinese soldiers. And our protagonist, Jerry Razo Cruz, reluctantly is there in the war. He's writing a letter to his last letter to his son, who he's never met. The boy is in East Los Angeles. The other person in the foxhole is Blackie Moreno, a Marine from El Sereno, East Los Angeles. He is Jerry's homie and his compadre, who is set to baptize Blackie's newborn baby, who he also has never seen. The Calo slang word for a compadre is compa. And there's a lieutenant, Puisi, who is a platoon leader. So as Foxhole Aztlan is being overrun, this is that letter, poem, monologue. Foxhole Aztlan. And once again, my name is Rudy Razo Chavez. Dear son, mijo, Lucas, hey, if you can't read this too good, what can I say? I write scrawling best as I can. I hope all's okay with you when you read this letter. Who knows when? And well, I can't say sorry, lo siento mucho, for not taking the time to be more with you back in the day. Us grown-ups, we got issues. Tú sabes. You know, I think you do. And your jefita and me ain't no different. I know you're not even a teenager yet. Barely a baby, you little mocoso, snot-nose. But you're the oldest and the man, and you gotta try to take care of everybody for me, for la familia. Right here, aquí, right now, we're at chopper gunships is popping here and there everywhere like giant bugs have gone wacky stupid. Bien pendejos. Landing and taking off and throwing mud and slopping everywhere. And on us, shit. The C-130s is wanting to drop off ammo and reinforce backup. But the rice paddies is packed all around with Charlie gooks. They like gangs of fleas on fat dogs' asses. And we in the bullseye, dead center, right in the middle where farts and shit comes out. So what's new, huh? We Marines, yeah, Simon, and thought you might want to know our songs. From the balls of Moctezuma to the balls of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles on land or air or sea, because we is bad motherfuckers and United States Marines. And whatever you hear, you got to know this, mijo. The baddest, most chingon, the most down for the USA Marine motherfuckers, The real pit bulls, arr, is us. We not fucking Hispanic and not fucking Mexican either. We Chicanos. Y chinga tu madre anyone who don't like it. And here we are. And here I am, writing as best I can on a wrinkled piece of shit paper. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. When you get this letter, mijo, we're going to be dead, maybe. Or maybe we all going to be red, real red. Because the reds, the commies over here, got big time huevos. Huevos the size of basketballs. Right now, in the middle of the TET offensive, which don't matter exact what it means, excepting we know pinche Charlie gonna get more motherfucking crazy, more pinche aguitado than he ever done before. And Marines or no Marines, we gotta respect them because they keep kicking our asses all over their country. And faster than Speedy Gonzalez, de volada, we're gonna be going into the bush again because the higher ups is a bunch of honky whacked up motherfuckers. Like ain't they all? They know we got shit on them for the fucking they've been doing against us over and over again. And again and again. By us, I mean our squad that's mostly Chicanos. Chicanos and two black brothers, Firme Mayates, South Central from Compton, and Motown, who from Detroit. Where else? And when you like us, Uncle Sam Flunky Tapados, the pinche lifers is going to find a way to send you out. We all privates or PFCs because they couldn't bust our brown or black asses no lower. Most of us was in the brig, in the bote, the can, the slammer for bullshit. But our base was getting run over. So what's new? And when the shit hits the fan, who are you going to call? Tu sabes. And we all short timers, but who gives a flying fuck about us? All the vatos say. Yeah, true. We just got out of the boonies a short time ago, but John Wayne III, a tobacco-chewing bird colonel out of Texas with a straw up his ass or something, yells at platoon leader, Lieutenant, pues sí, ain't your wetbacks and niggas got good for nothing? Shit, Lieutenant. He's screaming and chomping and spitting shit out of the side of his mouth, his piano wire lips quivering at the same time. We is ready to jump their motherfucking white asses there and then. But little Blackie Moreno told us, hey, cálmate, ese. Be cool, man. Tranquilo, take it easy, eh? We'll get their pinche motherfucking fuckers later. And everybody shook their heads. Yeah, Simon, that's a great idea. We gave high fives. Orale. Little Blackie from El Sereno, East Side LA, like me, and was a fuck up back in the world, and me too, I guess. But ain't nobody got to be treated wrong, especially since a lot of these guys is gung-ho, ready to die for the red, white, and blue. Blackie done 2 tours already and got AK-47 gook rounds tattooed all over his body. And what he gets? A purple fucking heart. But no metal shit. And a purple fucking head too. Me? I'm here because a judge stateside said, you want to go up the river, boy? Soledad or Chino? He stands up and leads over his big fat judge table and says, or FOLSOM, the big one. His fat ass bulging, half stuck hidden underneath that black gown. Thud, thud, thud. That's the sound when he sits back down. And he blabbers on. Take your choice, because today's your lucky day, son. Or you want to do something constructive for the US of A. All this was cause of shit I never done against a puto Rampart cop who shot my primo in the back and busted us when we was getting a Tommy Burger in Rampart across town. And who they gonna believe, huh? So I ain't complaining about it. Not too much, tu sabes. Because if we did, what rights any of us got anyway? I was whispering there in the courthouse, and the judge and jury all in one pushes his thick glasses off his eagle nose with a big old wart at the end of it. I can see it look good. And he said, what you saying, boy? And I said, yeah, okay, Your Honor. And he took out a handkerchief and wipes at his eyes and told me, I know you Mexicans is good old boys, and you're going to do right by me.
and by this country, our country, you're going to do me good, no? I shook my head up and down, yeah. And he smiles at me, a wide grin like Groucho Marx, and I low pinche, and I low whisper, pinche dishonor. And he said, what you say? Nobody moves a twitch. You speaking Mexican? And I say, no, sir. And then I say, yes, sir. Okay. He points his nail-bitten finger and bony knuckles on long fingers and arms like pitchforks. And right there, and then in the courthouse number 1313, he yanks back his black dangling robe sleeve on his snow white colored right arms and shows off a blood red pack, jumps at you saying, Semper Fi. He giggles like a chavalita, little girl, and then bang, bangs a walnut gavel thing hard on the table in front of him and laughs and screams, next case. Joe, he says, Joe, say Martinez versus the great big bear flag republic, front and center. But that was then, and this is now. So, happy holidays to everybody, son. Ha, ha, ha. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, and shit. Caca happens, especially at night. Holidays or no, like in the barrio. You know, holidays, weekend, all the time, barrio holidays. And last night, the rounds is coming in. Rounds is going off. Explosions blazing, and Blackie Moreno sitting like a Buddha, a fat chinito in our pad in Foxhole Aztlan. He not looking scared nor nothing, just nodding, toking away. Un sacatito, a little churro, a bit of holy grass, tú sabes. You know? And the rounds is zipping by, buzzing over our heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zip, 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 zip. And there's Blackie smiling away, passing the frajo, the joint, churrito around, telling me, Jerry, man, Jerry, brother, carnal, homie, this some good shit. Oh, man, yeah, nothing but the best, man. Number 1, ponle, come on, go for it. I said, go for it. The best, Semper Fi, USMC, La Raza, Chicano Power, Orale. And he is asking me, you want to baptize my son, man? Come on, I said, baptize him, Be my compa, man, my compa, little black, Jer, man, I never saw him in person, pero tú sabes, I never saw my son in person, but tú sabes, you know. And all I told him is, get a grip, man. Brother, carnal, get a grip, ese. Aguántate. Balls, brother, balls. Because we're going to make it. I feel it in my bones. Because the chinos is going to pull back. They're going to run. Pinche chavalas. Motherfuckers going to run. But then, watchate, man. To your left. Watchale, man. Silent, an instant like death. Little Blackie, man, trucha. Keep your eyes open, compa. Listen, you hear that, compa? Shh. What? A voice. I don't know. And Blackie picks up his head, throws off his helmet, and opens his eyes wide as now and says, ooh, the boogeyman, el cuckoo. Then all's quiet like por vida, and all around is nada, like ain't nobody coming. Nothing, no one, or like maybe they all coming. Over the wires like packs of hungry rats, or ain't coming. But now they're coming. Motherfuckers coming over the wires. Shit. Fucking shit. They're coming in the wrong way. Motherfucking gook eyes, cocksuckers, pinche chinos, culeros, coming, screaming. Pinche todo loco in the rain dark of November, December. Malin turkey, motherfucker, ha. Marine, ha. Happy Thanksgiving to you, die, motherfuckers. And swooshing sounds, the rounds raining in wet night, dark air, slicing through the silence like forever and ever, and over again and again, the rounds swooshing in, and Lieutenant Pussy, puto, screaming, crying, hold your positions, Marines, hold your position, God damn it, God damn it. And motherfucking Charlie's streaming, oozing, slipping, sliding in the gook, grass, shrubs, rock, earth, muck, mud of hills, down, 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 right on us, in, and the diarrhea sloshed all over us, soaking, sopping. And radio man's jamming, squawking, and jarheads growling, low voice, crazy. Lone Ranger, come in. Give me an airstrike, Lone Ranger. That's a Roger and a 10-4, Lone Ranger, 10-4, Lone Ranger. And again, come in. Do you copy? And Blackie Moreno's got a glad, happy grin, big as a book smacked on his face, and he's on his knees begging, take a toke, Lieutenant Pussy, a toke, ese, come on, brother, carnal. The captain is scared shitless, blank look on his tomato face. And Blackie's chanting, yay, the walk through the valley of the rockets and mortars raining in. Come on, take a toke, ese, take a toke. He's toking hard in and out. And I shall fear no evil, because I's the United States, ma. And Lieutenant Pussy's in wet shit exploding, and he's screeching, you fucking wetbacks, get your fucking ass up on the double, Private Moreno, do it, motherfucker. And Blackie's reaching out, whispering, quiet, real quiet, but Lieutenant Pussy, you're my carnal, homie. You're my white brother, Mr. Pussy, sir. Please. And Lieutenant, aiming, knuckles got purple, his hand on the trigger, cocking the 45, sticking it hard into Blackie's face, and I jump over, bayonet grip tight, and I'm slashing. And then, kaboom, B-52, rattling, shaking, thunder, lightning, kaboom, and shrapnel frags are flying, sparks of orange, yellow, red, and glinting metal spew night sky, electricity suns and rain rubble, goo, muddy, eyes and elbows, arms, legs, eyes, ears, noses, hair, and heads flop, plop, plunk, and clang into metal buckets, crops, harvest, Las Piscas, and Blackie Moreno's watermelon head, hot Marine Corps Chicano blood, gush, rushes, washes, whipping, smack, whacks my face, and I feel a left hand, mine on rifle muzzle, breathe in, breathe out, in, out, right finger on M16 trigger. This is my weapon, this is my gun, this is my weapon, this is my gun. And whack! A baseball bat on home run baseball. Louis, my brother Louis, kapow, and then bursting automatic weapon, gunfire, great balls of fire, forever and ever. And then, quiet, real quiet. An eternity, rainbows, Madrecita, Madre, Ama, Virgen de Guadalupe, Virgencita de la vida, loca. And I reach down, grabbing at Pussy's 45, and I twist around, take aim, best as I can, twist like a pig in mudslop, and Pussy garbles, God, dear God, and I hear the thud, and then shaboom, shaboom. Thank you. That's it for today. More to come. Rudy Razo Chavez, my pleasure. My name is Rudy Razo Chavez. I'm a writer. I'm originally from Fresno. My father's from El Paso, Texas. He's Tex-Mex, and my mother, Laverne, 1875, city of Laverne in Southern California. Family came there from Chihuahua in 1875. I was a migrant farm worker, family of 15, high school dropout, and Marine Corps veteran, and I'm for whatever it's worth, I'm a USC graduate, a class of 1972, 50 years ago. I can tell you some stories about going to school in Los Angeles and at USC. And I'm also happen to be a Marine Corps veteran, and I spent only 6 hours in Vietnam. That's another story. So I have a lot of stories to tell, and I write mixed genre. My work is mixed genre, which is like mixed martial arts, and I combine all the genres, and I write in Spanish, in English, and Spanglish, and I have the privilege to be here to read one of the poems, a number of poems right now, and I also write theater monologues, and a couple of novels that I'm working on, including a memoir and autobiography. So I have the privilege of being here with you, and we'll start by reading a poem that is titled Twilight of the Coyotl. And Coyotl, for all of you who speak Nahuatl or Nahuatl, which is the language of the Aztecs, and Coyotl is coyote. We say coyote, and other people say coyote, a coyote. Again, my name is Rudy Razo Chavez, and I'll start with this poem, Twilight of the Coyotl. I am Coyotl, in the twilight of time, attired in chaparral, mesquite, dry grasses, leaves, twigs, weeds, bushes, in all undergrowth, in colors and textures of wild flowers and trees, yellows and blues and greens, the sand and gravel and rocks and boulders in Southwest territories, as in Mexico, the old Mexico and the new Mexico, and this American topography too, where nothing is new. Oh, it's an historical imperative, isn't it? I am Coyotl, among mice, rats, squirrels, lizards, rattling snakes, swirling mosquitoes, gnats, now and then low-flying dipping bats, and owl hoots, upon and through, in and out, desert sands, smooth hills, cavernous mountain, gorges, in rivers, streams, arroyos, gullies with no end, a small waterfall, and the burned browns of this world around, in gray and black fades, without shades, in high summer growth, crisp by heat of incessant sun, by grit grease of monoxide made smog, this deconstruction cycle near to completed, the ozone depleted. I am Coyotl, at the end where nature is washed, splashed, sogged by wet in a spin cycle of infinite rivulets, runoffs that ravage each time rhythm and rhyme anew, season without reason, twisted, turned, churned, upended, while bands of climatologists, all experts in weather, gather, yet no clue. Less so, women and men of power brew their political stew. They glower and they ask what to say, what to do. Here, I am Coyotl, here slinking about day in and night out. Coyotl, me in the twilight of time, raising, pointing, then rotating my snout in air, whiffing winds of change, of seasons rearranged, of nature denatured. Scurrying this way, that way, rerouted, yet survival rooted, weather leathered by nature, by man, from embryo to cradle, from the pre-conquest of civilization, displaced by the now, displaced by urban, suburban. I, Coyotl, seek refuge, safety, sanctuary from walkers, joggers, hikers, and bicyclists, from high-potency cars, SUVs, from golfers galore, shooters who hoot with the drill, bang, bang, I gotta kill, and so much more. I am Coyotl, the animal, predator, some say, reflection of man, driven, hunger for past place, for past time, in rubbish and cold coals and ashes to ashes, in barbecue pits and barbecue spits, ravaging for remnants, bits and pieces of hot dog, hamburgers, carne asada, leftover burrito bits, this bag of bones, earth, wind, and fire, smoke with a survival of the fittest, beauty on the run, 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 on a rim, on a brim, here in the hills, close by mountainsides, by homes, my haunt in villages and towns, in Los Angeles, Ventura, all around, and contiguous communities, too many to mention, to say, in public parks, habitats, and reserves. I am Coyotl, encircled by freeways and helicopters and jets in the air, crisscrossed by fire roads, by trod-upon paths padded down by ceaseless marchers of women and men, families searching for calm, for a natural balm, the twin-legged tourist on earth. What I, Coyotl, in my hearth, in the twilight of time, attired in chaparral and Mosquito, bristled hide, apparition. I reconnoiter in packs, but perhaps now, alone, 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 unleashing a howl, a yelp, a sharp, belated echo in the gray black night. I, Coyotl, call, voice rising, falling, rising, falling, telling a tale of a fail in the twilight of time. Coyotl, I am your enemy, or am I your friend? Thank you. That is my poem. I am Coyotl. And from that, I go to another poem. This one is titled Cielito Lindo, so I'm going to go back a little bit, or my theme and my topic and my poem is about an early death, and this is a poem that is autobiographical about my sister. Her name was Cielito Razo Chavez Garcia. She was married for 19 years old, and she was married for 7 days, and she was epileptic, had a very horrible accident. She was married for 7 days, and she died alone by drowning in a bathtub of sewer water. And there's a lot of details to the story, but nonetheless, this is a poem to honor my sister Cecilia, and this poem is titled Cielito Lindo. Cielito Lindo, an early death in Chowchilla, California. And it's again for my sister and for my family and for our community, who very often have a lot of tragedies in our lives and a death at an early age. This was in, well, you'll see the historical period. The early morning San Joaquin Valley sun shone sharp, but a hard frost lay unmelted like a mantilla upon sand, wrapping around Johnson grass and cotton stalks this November day. A day etched in history, Dallas, Texas, 1963, when John Kennedy can be remembered with Lee Harvey Oswald from the halls of Moctezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Lee Harvey Oswald, Marine Corps sharpshooter, red, white, and blue, like our brothers and me, oh say can you see. We were sharpshooters too, good with guns and weapons and rifles and knives. Cielito, you were our heart, and we were children, grown old, in the campesino fields, on the paths of wraths, where cotton was king. Then one day we got told, she's gone. Our family in mourning, tied to time and to place, we tried to cry, even us, boys, conditioned to know better, to shed no tears, to show no fear. Los hombres no lloran. Migrant Chicanos, us, unable to assume traditional stances, no money for flowers, less for a funeral. The county handled all the arrangements. There was no burial, and there were no farewell kisses. It all started on your 13th birthday, December 27, 1957, when your nimble cat-like movements, your young woman's body, feeble by disease and by fear, failed. You grew old, helpless, emaciated, disheveled before our eyes, already wet with worry. Last month's bills long past due and payable, with interest added, multiplied in the math of the times. Business as usual. We got taught to believe in miracles, but none came. And you got nothing except now and then a quick glance of caring to soothe your pains. Each morning's rising was a pained awakening, a leech sucking on each afternoon's expectations. You lived day upon day, this was all. For what else could you do but walk insomniac along with the field mice, scavengers at night, leaving their dirt or remnants of their leak, making the floorboards creak. Not able to glance backward or forward, for yesterday's roads were strewn with dog bones of sorrow, while tomorrow was empty, except for a dimmed light in the unfathomed hole of your existence, extinguished on the seventh day of your marriage to your husband, David X, who vanished, never to be seen again. You are hardened, 20 years old, lost too, Cielito Lindo. The last signs of life, a trail of blood running from the hardwood living room floor to dirty bathtub water from a backed up cesspool, plugged up pipes where they found you, floating face down, asleep forever in a place we called home, in our migrant travels, never forgotten, shadows of history that haunt like John Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald, and you in 1964. Cielito Lindo, QEPD, que en paz descanse, may you rest in peace. Thank you. I'm going to come back to my poems can sort of be categorized in general categories. Those are my Cielito Lindo autobiographical poem, a narrative poem. And I also have a number of migration or immigration poems. But a particular poem, next one that I'm going to read, is titled Mosquito, Arms and Legs, and also is another, I would say, autobiographical poem. And again, I was born in a family of migrant farm workers. We were called or referred to then, now farm workers or campesinos, when they say we were. In our travels, we had many experiences that at the time seemed somewhat normal, like so much else, but which in retrospect gave us a lot to talk about. Our living conditions left a lot to be desired. The fact is, we lived a life of animals, perhaps worse in some ways. Our daily life was proscribed by what we were, and this included what we ate and the other conditions of the ever-changing environment in which we were thrown into at any given time. The place of this poem is the Sacramento Valley in Northern California, and if I could give it a time, probably it would be in the late 1940s or early 1950s of the past decade. This is again titled Mosquito, Arms and Legs. It's kind of self-explanatory, you'll kind of get it. In Colusa, California, next to the bank of the American River, we stood on the levee on the brink, our gazes phased and heads spun by muddied currents and swirling eddies. Sierra waters churning rapid down, down, down from the mother lode, from east to the west, going north and south and crisscrossing too. And offshoots, the water channeled for irrigating bread baskets in mosaics of fields and in a world without end. Here, the families of migrants in caravans and crews of men and women and children and babies sleeping in cars or under the stars, if need be, gathered and camped out at the height of the harvest. In the evening, we stoked open-air fires of dried leaves, snapped twigs, and chopped up branches and trunks of cut-up deadwood. upon the blazes, in cast iron pans and clay pots. In Farmer John lard, we fried and refried beans and potatoes and rice, cooked with the bubbling waters from a nearby canal. That was pretty rough, I think. When there was work 7 days a week, sunrise to sunset, dawn to dusk, and before and after too, we feasted on pork and bean, chorizo, and beige-colored ground meat, cooked and gobbed onto second-hand plates, spooning and forking the contents, meals mixed and made grist with arms and legs of mosquitoes, and bits and pieces of assorted bugs that buzzed free, but that soon became enmeshed in the dancing smoke and steaming heat. And we went to bed, too tired for dreams or desires, to the flickering light of kerosene lamps, and to the muted voices, sounds that rose and died in the grays that soon became the black of the night. On splintered plank floors of army green, thick canvas tents, petroleum oil scented and weatherproofed, with tattered flap windows and doors, with grommets shining and flattened and that no longer shut tight, we lay. We lay and we tried to sleep deep as we slapped at bugs that buzzed and stung under cover of night. And early to bed and early to rise, our appetites whetted, stomachs filled to no more, till breakfast next day of beans and potatoes, again and again and again. And then, in the dark before dawn, we plodded on to the orchards, and deeper yet into the canopy of trees, inverted ovens, where we toiled and near boiled, and the peach fuzz loosened or was shaken and free floated down and up and around. And this crop dusted our bodies beneath hats and caps and bandanas and scarves, set upon or wrapped around crowns and necks and long sleeve shirts that served to no good. And the sweat and the fine fuzz powder ran down head to toe from hair matted wet, and we itched and scratched ourselves crimson in patches of sweat. When we ascended and descended nonstop, wood ladder rungs, and we filled banged up aluminum buckets and canvas basket sacks hanging hooked to a thick web belt at the waist, the lows yanking down the body and mind, the thoughts and emotions. At moments, we rested a step or two to sip warmed water and to try not to blink as we forged forward and foraged again and again and again in the forest of trees upon trees upon trees, among the leaves splotched, whitened with residue sprays, our hands and our arms picking and pulling, rising and falling among the twigs and the branches and limbs, we gyrating, twisting and turning the necks and heads of our bodies, our torsos, this way and that, and every which way, reaching out, in and aside, and folding backwards too, to gather the fruit at the height of our harvest. Then we emptied the containers of these into Del Monte boxes stacked at the side, where Ford half-tons and John Deere tractors towing flatbed trailers patted the dirt, making paths and kicking up thick swirls of dust like dirt devils gone mad upon a vaporous earth. With ripened packed fruit all ready for market, perfect the harvest and the yearly spring promise, now made fact of fat profit in Colusa in California, next to the bank of the American River, where late in the evenings we stood and watched. Blank. Thank you. That is autobiographical narrative poem. Tells the story. There's a lot of questions that I still have about it. And I had the privilege and the fortune to be here alive, breathing, and also continuing to write and tell the stories that I experienced. A lot of people experienced. Quite a few of my work has to do with migration and immigration. And I've had the fortune to have been a migrant farm worker, so I had a lot of experiences. Interacted also a lot like with the braceros and other people from Mexico. Had the privilege to learn Spanish and continue to learn to this day, and to experience cultura not only in the U.S., Mexican, American, Chicano, Hispanic, but also to go to Mexico and look at things from a different perspective. And I'm very glad and very privileged to this. I have people say, why don't you write an autobiography? Well, I have it in the works, and I have a lot of episodes done. So I do a lot of poetry, but also write a lot of prose, and a lot of it, and theater. And I have a novel that have multiple chapters. And I have, so this particular, it's a poetry prose combination. And it's from, could fit into the novel as I'm working it and have worked it. But this is from, again, a novel that I've tended to have called Sanctuary Kaleidoscope, because of all the craziness that we experience with the kaleidoscope, little tube with all the little things moving around. And so this is from Sanctuary Kaleidoscope. It's a short piece. We migrants, we kids, we women's, we men's, we children of the sun. Now time to go, walk, or if so, gots to run. Slow we go. We the human race, salt of earth, sal de la tierra. We born poor, and there is no more land, no more hearth. Home, no crop, no job, no money, no rice, not a bean, not a tortilla slice. In this red, white, green nation, sin maíz, no hay país. This is Mexico. Therefore, we must go. Leave or face eradication. We gather a jug of water, a piece of bread, a tortilla or two. We half naked, half shake our head, emit muffled, mumbled last goodbyes, offer hugs or pass on back, pick up a morral, our knapsack. We step out the curtain door, our shack made of straw, rocks and mud, bricks, dirt floor. Well, we'll see no more. Take a last glance, no choice, gotta take a chance. We begin the trek, a step, 2, 3, 4, we head out, carrying a memory load on a dusty or wet road of many, many more. No need, no good to ask why or to cry. Migrate or die. We migrate south to north. We rise, no surprise, set to go into and through the shadow morning, now and then into dark, deep of night. And soon we step outside, slow, go, beneath a burnishing summer sun, ultra bright, torrid, wet and cold winters, from perspiration or rain, water wet, sops our hair, we wipe our brow, bow our head, and we trek. Out from mountain villages or towns, a municipality, down through mountain trails, over crags, sand, gravel, dirt, mud, rocks and boulders, small, large, stark, dark, deep ravines and cliffs that rise high to sky, into and through jungles of dank overgrowth, undergrowth, impregnable and impassable, we do pass. Lands of birds of beauty, rainbows, rats, bats, coyote, big cats, jaguar, balams, tiny creatures with their phantasmagorical feet, legs, bodies, thin and gorged, fat and neckless heads and heads, rounded, egg-shaped triangles, oval, ears and eyes and lips that quiver, shiver, and mouths that gape, and eyes that dart and stop, and stare, glare, and scare the uninitiated in the cacophonies of the assembly of Mexican and Central American nature sights and sounds and resounds without bounds. In the bungles of these jungles, nature twisted and turned, swayed every which way. First the jungles and then the deserts, dry and wide, these great divides, sand and sand and sand and sand, with birds of prey that float sweet and high, bare visible to an eye, airbound bandits of the natural world, and the natural twirl that knows no bounds and no borders, known as we go, 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 go. We migrants. Thank you. That's just a little slice of a poem that that I have, as I explained. I'm going to continue with a different, well, not a different poem, but this is titled Holtville QEPD, which means in Spanish QEPD, we say QEPD, que en paz descanse, which translated means RIP, rest in peace. It sounds really, actually QEPD, I like it, sounds pretty, but it's pretty horrible, and particularly with reference to this poem I'm going to read. Holtville is titled zip code 92250, and if you want to look it up and know where it is, then it is Holtville, California. It's a small town, has a small cemetery, Bellevue Cemetery, and I'm going to show, here is the United States. San Diego is over here, and 80 miles to the east is Holtville, California. And El Centro, and this side of the border, people may know El Centro, across the border is Calexico, and also Mexicali is in that area. So the cemetery is here, and this cemetery is famous or infamous because there are about 400 bodies or body parts of people who came across the border and tried to come across the border, ended up we continue to have a big problem, as with what happened in Texas with the 51 migrants that were ended up dying locked up in the trailer, the big trailer in Texas. And so this has been and not only an issue in Mexico, but it's an issue in many parts of Europe and the South, where people are trying to get to the north because they want to breathe and live and eat and have a little bit of humanity and dignity. It's titled, again, my name is Rudy Razo Chavez, Holtville, USA 92250. And I'm going to reference a few things in here you need to know. The next to Holtville, very small town, agriculture, Coachella Valley, there is also a very well-known military base at Yuma, which is, if you watch, can't remember his name, the one that did the star of Top Gun Maverick, whatever his name is, doesn't matter. That's where the part of the movie takes place. The Blue Angels they do exhibitions with jets and airplanes, and they fly in the sky and they do all kinds of acrobatics. And so the film Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick this is part of that. The military air station at Yuma, it's in the shadows of Holtville and the cemetery, so you'll understand when I reference that here. Dreams and hopes are scattered helter-skelter across the borderlands of our promised land. Hearts and minds crushed, feeling and thinking are dead. Limbs are strewn, arms and legs and joints of wrists and hands and fingers, feet and toes, and so much more. No more. Here, not a laugh, not a moan or a groan. Nada. Black or brown or blue, maybe green-gray, one eye stuck to the edge of a cactus needle is open wide to the California sky. Two, also, there is an ear of someone dear, she or he who will never speak or hear a word of love or even hate, all too late. Fate or force or farce of nature or of thy kingdom come. In Holtville, United States of America, the anonymous in the cemetery are buried with liberty and justice for all, but not for these and others too, we know. Multitudes of immigrants who try to cross, and most do, but many don't. These women and men, young and old, shy or bold, those who fell, not even their last remains can tell. Did they stumble or mumble? Do we know what forces bore them down year-round? Many thrown on the ground. They are grist. In the migrant mill, in this gist, these mostly brown skin who now lay with a stick cross at the head of a dirt bed, prone in a sedate state. And what remains? Rats, snakes, vultures, or coyotes, or praying man, left, families and friends bereft, sad, dying too. In a world that is a stage where we are born, each day a page, where we so go in a life, we strut our stuff, soft or rough, where we grow, where we think we know, but a migrant trail, it's an untold tale. Here, no fanfare, no ovation in the immigration nation. In Holtville, USA, 92250. That's the Holtville QEPD. And actually that, just an explanation, it's a shortened version. And I do have a longer version of it, but that is Holtville. I want to go from that poem to another poem that has to do with specifically Mexico, but it actually applies across the board. And this poem I wrote probably about 20, 25 years ago. And unfortunately, the topic is still something very significant and has to do with the feminicides and the killing of women. When I was in Mexico for 3 years, between 2004 and 2007, the INEGI, which keeps statistics in Mexico, the institute, there were, according to the INEGI, statistically, there were 14 women killed in Mexico every day. And I always would say the statistics across the board are dubious, because reported deaths are people who just disappear are never, and that happens in Mexico, third world countries, that happens in the US as well. This is titled The Tip of the Iceberg, and this is in honor of the women in Mexico, generally I say. And again, it's still happening today, unfortunately, and quite a bit. Here in third world countries, and also in Europe and many places, in Ukraine. In the house of horror she subsists in the eye of a storm, in the maelstrom she finds herself swept into, and thereupon is tossed and turned every which way, spinning gyration. Or she is simply taken hog-tied, wrists and ankles cuffed or rope-tied, her mouth rag-gagged, and her eyes blinded. And then she is eschewed like a piece of denting, chewed up and spit down on the ground, dirt or cement or hard tile or brick floor. But before this, she is egregiously used and abused and coerced to perform insidious acts by structures that rape and prostitute in the name of basic humanity, with hunger and thirst and traditions and laws that permit wanton insanity, constructed and aided and abetted and managed by men and by women who have sold their soul for a miserly dollar, who have made a pact with the devil and with the devil's sister and brother, or with any other broker of power, the local, state, and federal police in the beat, on the heat, and by lascivious lawyers and politicians and professionals of every persuasion, including judges who are sought out and bought out, individuals partaking in a piece of any action, and engaging in business as usual in a historical dynamic, via a multiplicity and threads of casual collusions and illicit transactions, paradigms of illness made normal. So many young girls, so many adolescent girls, so many women in their prime, caught in a spider web wherein there is no sense. There is no rhyme in the crime, in the grime, and the slime, wherein she swallows, stuck in a net like a chain of virulent attacks, embedded in the culture of vultures, such as in the case of this woman, a woman of Juarez, who was a tip of the iceberg. In the house of horror, she's subsistent, in the eye of the storms and whipped up winds that rise up and subside, like shovels scooping body upon body upon body, the disappearances of these unabated and undebated. In the mass media that is a mess media, her body and the others as well, carted away. She sits in the backseat of a silent hearse that travels across the land, crisscrossing north to south, east and west in a silent curse. The woman of Juarez is one example. Or only the tip of the iceberg. In the house of horror she subsistent, in the eye of the storm that sweeps crisscrossing the nation, unabated and undebated, that curse like a hearse that travels, that crisscrosses, yes, in the north, in the south, in the east, as well as in the west, in the low and high hills and mountains, the villages off the beaten path, the pueblos in the municipalities, in outskirts, the ubiquitous fraccionamientos, carton communities, in the urban centers of information and education, where there is deformation, where there is degradation, where there is impunity and infamy and destruction and death. And a girl or a woman cries, pleads. She pleads. And her please, 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 she must swallow as she half chokes. And all sensibility is opened up by the fingers of death and hands that wrap and squeeze around her neck, or another part of her anatomy is penetrated, while her mother and many others scream. A bad dream? When does it end? Tip of the iceberg, a poem for humanity and for women around the world and women in Mexico. And thank you for that opportunity to read that poem. I want to read my poem. Since I lived in Los Angeles, I've been a teacher for 40 years. Yesterday was 40 years, my 40 years anniversary of teaching Los Angeles. And this poem is, I wrote it in 1972, original one. And I had the greatest compliment that ever happened with my original draft was one page. And I read it when I taught at Belmont High School, I think in 1985 or so, 86. I read it on the, somebody read it for me on the morning when they had the morning news, and they read it on the PA system. And I had a colleague of mine, esteemed colleague of mine from the English department. She was pretty proper. And she came and said, Mr. Chavez, I want to tell you that when that PA announcement, they read your poem. I said, yeah. She goes, all my kids, they never pay attention. That's the first time, she said, that I ever saw them pay attention. And that was the greatest compliment on this poem that I still have written and rewritten a few times in 1980, well, almost 30 years, I don't know, something like that. It's titled Speaking Orale. Speaking Orale. So when I meet people, depending on who it is, you speak Orale. And Mexican-American slang, which came out, a lot of it came out of Texas, and my dad was proficient, highly proficient. I'm fairly proficient. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm pretty much, probably close to 10. And speaking Orale, Orale means Orale. And it means, yeah. And like some people know the other word is Simon, but Orale is Orale. And it's part of it's called argot or slang, Mexican-American slang, that are referred to as calo, with an accent on the A, as calo. This is part of it. And you can look up and find a dictionary of calo if you're interested in that. I don't know how much. I used to have 4 copies and I gave it away. Now they're probably like $30. At UCLA bookstore, I used to get them, or you can order online now. Speaking Orale. So anybody speak Orale? Right? So this is for those people Orale. This is an East LA poem. I went to college at East Los Angeles Community College. First time I ever been to the University College or knew anything. And like when I was growing up and going to schools, I was always fighting. And in the principal, assistant principal's office or the counselor's office. And being told that I had a bad attitude, the counselor told me in 7th grade, you have got in a fight with the teacher, sort of fight. And he said, you have a chip on your shoulder. I said, no, I don't. He said, yes, you do. I said, you're not. Sir, all due respect. He said, you have a chip on your shoulder. And I said, I don't. He said, what do you mean? I said, I have 2 chips on my shoulder. Okay. Knock it off. No, I didn't say that, but I kind of thought that. And but I was at East LA College, I also have problems there. But I lived in East Los Angeles, East LA, for quite a few years. And one of my favorite places, like Tijuana and other places like that, that I love a lot. And again, speaking Orale, this is a poem. Khaki clad, Chicano Cholos, speaking Orale. And in history, of course, I had a lot of cruising in East Los Angeles. If you study cruising in Whittier Boulevard, you'll see the cruising scene. So this is about the cruising scene and somebody narrating during the cruising. The cops would come down and make everybody go off and ticket everybody and all that kind of craziness. It was like incredible. They are cruising cool. Santana suave, suavecito. Suavecito, getting down, way down low in customized a la brava hairdos, flared and pompadoured in slick rainbow rocket ships, ramflas on the boulevard, on the go, to and fro, come and go, gliding, sliding, sliding, and blaring Motorola rock and roll oldies, 4 and 8 track radio tapes, Rosie and the Originals, Angel Babies, their toes tapping, feet on floorboards, frantic and antics, huffing, puffing, breathless in the back seats, on tuck and roll, bumping, humping with hydraulics and fingers snapping, rhythmic. In the mix, saluting Art LeBeau, K-R-L-A, Art LeBeau, oldies but goodies, DJ. So shake your booties, all veteranos, all Chicanos, night and day in LA, in the streets, on the east side, in the city, in the gritty. Here is Huggy Boy of K-Earth, taking a dedication. Huggy got a tonic, soothing his medication for a lost love, a potion of fixation. And the Wolfman in hype hysterics, Jack is growling and howling, broadcasting on the almighty, the 1090 airwaves in the barrio, on the boulevard, righteous memories and melodies. The hairy beast is blasting, soul power everlasting. In an open-air car club show, the candy colors are a predominating promenade of metallics, reds and blacks and blues. The vatos, the SS, the rucas, and their patent leather Stacey Adams mirror shoes, their kicks, their calcos. And the esas, the rucas, the jainas, fresh licked lollipop and licorice lipstick, and no jive beehives, teased to please, and mini-skirted, tight, just right, in special places. In this carousel where the rock and roll never stops, pumping and sounds spinning round and round and round, and late at night, it's so firme bad. It's so firme, right? But then, at 10 p.m., the curtains pulled, the barricades are set, the boulevard is blocked by county crews and curfews dropped, by a megaphone as down below a phalanx of blacks and whites, cruisers with uniformed and armed tax-paid bruisers roll in at the ready. The troll patrols, la jura, la ley, la placa, los chotas. The man converge upon command, and they encircle and they sight through might makes right, as up above helicopters, ghetto, barrio birds hover, hop, and the helicopter rotors spin and pop, menacing as a John Wayne men, a Belvedere substation, East LA. Some historians now say low intensity beachhead of an Aryan nation with aerial prods and pokes, herding. Khaki clad. Ben Davis, Dickies. Khaki clad Chicano Cholos. Chicano Cholos speaking. Orale. Thank you. That's my speaking early. My name is Rudy Razo Chavez, and I'm a writer, cross-genre work, which means that I write prose and theater, and I write a lot of poetry as well. I mix up the different types of styles of writing, and also my language is also mixed, as my heritage is also mixed. And I'm a Chicano, XYZ, I consider myself. And people say, what is that? X from the past, Y from the present, and Z as we evolve to the future. So I'm not Hispanic, and I'm not Latin, less. Chile means no, not Latinx either. I can also say either. And I'm an English teacher, citizenship, and survival skills in Los Angeles for 40 years yesterday. And migrant farm worker, family, and all kinds of experience that have given me the privilege to be able to write what I do. And in terms of that, I have a poem that is titled Beats of a Poet. And I'll tell you, I'm a poet. I said to a student, have you ever met a brown poet? And I said, a little bit of humility. And she said, no. And I teach in alternative school. And I said, welcome to poetry. And she's actually an incredible writer and artist as well, visual artist. So hopefully we have more poets and more people telling stories. we need to tell our stories. We all want to, and we need to tell our stories. Not for ourselves, but for other people as well. I am a poet of social, political, and cultural causes. Causes and concerns that make me feel and think I am doing a needed job. I've been doing it for many, many years, decades. My flag is the color of the people. And I talk the talk. And I try to walk the walk. And I've marched in a lot of marches. Been in a lot of places. It's been a long struggle, like a lot of people have. My struggle has not been as profound as other people's struggle have, and less so today. So I have the privilege to be here and to write poetry, and this is my purpose. And in all the struggles and all the marching and everything else, I say, people, we have to abide by the law, but when the law has a flaw, then we have to consider your action, course of action. My beat is human rights, as best as I can observe these human rights. And I give testimony to and write about what is, and any and all wrongs and any slights or blights, as my eyes and ears and my heart and soul see them. And make no mistake, I think we need to assume responsibility. More privilege we have, and I have a lot of privilege. I have a lot of education and experience. The campus, in the streets of LA, East LA, many other places where I've lived, in Mexico, and I think we have to assume more responsibility to step forward. For those responsibility, for those who don't have the ability, I am my sisters and my brothers' keepers. I don't care, irrespective of color, race, or nationality. When there is an issue where wrong is wrong, I shall apprise the situation. And while I may sing a song, play a tune, or write a poem, I also walk the walk after many years. I wrote a few poems about SCOTUS, for example, the Supreme Court of the United States. I say, for example, in this issue of Roe versus Wade, I am with Roe. I am SCOTUS, as SCOTUS must be. In America, the free with choice and voice. And this is just, again, one example. But I am not scrotums. Let me repeat. I am not scrotums. Scrotums who dropped the ball in their latest call. Finally, poets united and all allied artists united shall never be divided. So stand firm, stand strong, arise and arise. Do your work, get organized, collaborate, as this reading is a collaboration of writings. And la unión hace la fuerza. And I also must say that I haven't read any my poems in Spanish, and I do have Spanish, maybe it's another session. But I want to conclude with a poem that is dedicated to an incredible person. And in my teaching, when I'm teaching full-time, still now, I talk about the women in our communities and our mothers. And I always say to the students, the glue, la goma, en nuestras comunidades, the glue. Who is the glue? And so say, what do you mean the glue? Well, the ones that hold the family together at the base are the moms. There's the glue, la goma, de nuestras comunidades. And this is for my mother. And this is a photograph of my mother. Her name was Trinidad Morales Razo. And that's why my name is Rudy Razo Chavez, Trini. And her family came from Chihuahua, Mexico, 1875 to Riverside County to Laverne, California. And my mother did many, many things. She was married at 16 and had 15 kids. Yep, 16 years old, had 15 kids, and she passed away at the age of 72. This is a tribute to her. And this is titled, Our Mother Made Tortillas in Stacks. In stacks of tortillas. Back in the day of Las Piscas, in the migrant harvest days, we lived in adobe houses, shacks, barns, and in used army tents, under the stars on the migrant trails. Of course, when we got hungry, we needed to eat. So we set up a makeshift stove, with an open air fire, and on the side we set up a table and chairs, however we could, from pieces of tree branches, and the tables and chairs were fruit boxes if we had them, or we ate on the ground on something cloth that we put on the ground, or if need be, and there was nothing, we just sat there. Our main staple was beans and tortillas. My main food that I love to this day are beans and tortillas and aguacates. I bake beans, but I don't know how to make tortillas yet. Probably I need to learn to compete, see how I can do against my mother's work. But so, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop. The palote sang in the darkest of the mornings and evenings, rain or shine, before we went out into the fields with the light of the wood or kerosene stove or open fires. My mother, our mother of 15 of us, made tortillas in stacks. She grabbed the masa, worked the gob, set this on a cutting board. Up and down, she rolled the pin, the palote, and the tortilla pile moved with a life of its own. But our mother controlled. She pulled the strings. Clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop, clop plop. The palote sang on. As she, the tortilla container filled, she smiled. The stack piled up, she giggled and she sang. Javier Solis and Lola Beltran and much, much more. When she burned her fingertips, she winced, ouch, but she never once cried while tossing and turning another tortilla, flipping it like magic on and off the comal, one side and the next, cooked to perfection, hot to hold. And what's next? Refrain, what's the next word? Clap, plop, clap, plop, clap, plop. Clap, plop, clap, plop, clap, plop. The palote rolled on with her face glistening. There it was. Her face was glistening. Always her face glistened. And she was there in front of the stove or fire. My mother, our mother, made tortillas in stacks. She stood steady, forever ready, never a frown. She unbending, the tortilla stack unending, up and down, up and down, up and down. Day in, day out, day in, day out. Year round, rain or shine, up and down. Clap, plop, clap, plop, clap, plop. Clap, plop, clap, plop, clap, plop. My mother made tortillas in stacks and we ate them fast, a lot of us. And she would say, sinvergüenzas, you have no shame. Smack your hand. Get the chancla out, get the sandal out, come after you eat too many tortillas. That is the poem, and that's the end of my work for today, I think. Thank you. Rudy Razo Chavez, un placer, a pleasure.